Hey,
Good morning.
good morning. It's glad to have you back. I'm really enjoying doing this. I can't tell you, like all these ideas constantly pop into my head and pop into my space to pursue. And to me, it's fun because I kind of think of everybody as like, you guys are my friends, you're my family. As a recluse, there's nobody around me. So you're it.
All right.
And
And you need to get out a little more then.
well, that's a whole nother story I won't go into right now. Um,
So,
but here's what I was thinking actually earlier this morning about what you had said the other day about, how does my business fit into this? Well, you remember we were talking about there's like main pillars, in our lives that we need to focus on. And having fun is definitely one of them that never gets enough attention, except for maybe a very few people. The few people who really enjoy what it is that they do for a living also get to have fun at the same time. And I think that's the space that I'm coming into. And it's exactly the space that you're at, right? So we need to share this. And, you know, this is an online community. It's not a local community, right? And
right.
you don't just serve people who come and knock on your door. You ship parts everywhere. So, and and then, I'm in Michigan, right? Which is the automotive capital. We
Right.
deal with cars a lot of all shapes and sizes. And I live in Oakland County, Michigan, where a lot of children have vehicles that they drive around in their yard and whatnot, right? Because they're not just for off-road, they're, in neighborhoods and, people go for walks and whatnot and let their kids, take their little thing with them. Um, so there's lots of different opportunities, but anyway, I'm going to let you go ahead and start, tell everybody your name, tell everybody your business, what it is that you do, and whatever else it is that you want them to know about.
Oh, that's very big. I want them to know everything. My name is Alan Placer. I am the owner and inventor of ML Toys Performance Ride-On Parts. We make modification parts for your kids' Power Wheels that they drive around in the lawn. We do motors, gears, lighting kits, batteries, tires, all kinds of different assorted goodies just to make the help the kids have more fun and help the moms and dads be their kids' heroes by doing the work on the cars with them and getting some good bonding time together.
And doing it with them is really important. For instance, here in Michigan, where everybody works on cars, it seems, except for me, because I figure why do I need to learn that skill? But it does help because even at a young age, like kids are a lot smarter than we give them credit for sometimes. They pick up on a lot of things and it allows their creativity to flow, right? It encourages that thought process that well, what else can we do, or how can we do this? And oh, this is what happens when we do that. So I
Yep.
think that's awesome.
Yeah, kids learn by watching us. That's more so than by what we tell them. It's by what they see us do. So if your kid sees that you're not afraid to take something apart and work on it, it'll instill into them that it's okay to take things apart. And that's why we actually designed the kits to be as plug and play friendly as possible, so that you can do it, you can have confidence in it, and again teach your kid that attribute that we're losing in this country.
Yes, there are skills that are being pushed by the wayside due to the technology that has taken hold. Which is great. I mean, without the technology, we wouldn't be able to, create some of these parts as easily and as readily. But yeah, there is a place for everything, and that's definitely it's an important thing that we, as adults, we kind of live vicariously through our kids at different stages of their life. I mean, mine are older and have kids of their own, and when I hear things or see things, it makes me laugh, and it makes me happy for them. Because we get to see the impact that we made on them at different points, even if they don't see it, we get to see it. And it just kind of brings that joy and happiness back. Can you tell everybody, I know the story, but can you tell everybody how it is that you got started in this?
Sure. My family owned a hobby store, and in that store, we did repairs on ride-on cars, and we also did radio control repairs. And I guess Google linked the two together. So when people search for Faster Motors for Power Wheels, they would come up with our store and call and ask. And I always had a rule in the store that if at least 3 people a week called and asked for a product, you start to sell it. Well, that product didn't exist at the time. There was no companies making Faster Motors for them. So I started to work with some of the RC car companies to come up with Faster Motors. That the big trick is, a radio control car is 5 pounds, whereas Power Wheels is, with a kid in it, can be 100 pounds. So there's a lot of differences that the motor needs, and we continue 15 years into it to keep working to make better and better motors. But once I got motors, I started a website with $200 that I had to my name at the time and started selling motors. And then people would call back and say, hey, these motors are great, but now I'm ripping up the gears because they're not strong enough. So I reached out to a RC car company that made stronger gears for the cars and said, hey, our gears look really similar in a Power Wheels. Can you make stronger gears for us? And they did. They thought it was a fun idea. So they started turning some of the gears into hardened steel versions. And when they did that, the company really took off big. And then we were able to use that money to invest in batteries that give more speed and more runtime. Lighting kits, they've been a lot of fun to see how people light up the Power Wheels with underglows, headlights, taillights. And we keep on growing. And now that, we've been around this long, we can invest in some of the higher, more difficult things like tires, electronic speed controllers. Just so many options that, we keep on figuring out what's the next thing that people need to make the experience more fun.
That is so cool. It started out with just a hobby shop going out of business to doing all of these things, all of these enhancements. I mean, it just, I can see where, that's a fun thing to do. And you can see how your business just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
So how do, now you had said before that your kids are older, and I was thinking about my kids who have kids and all of these different things. And actually my son was working with one of his cousins for a while, and his cousin, when he was younger, was definitely one of those kids that you were talking about, where he liked to take everything apart. And my ex-mother-in-law would encourage him. She's like, well, the vacuum's not working. See if you can figure out how to fix it. And he just take it all apart. And you know what? He ended up starting a business for himself because he learned it. I don't think it was so much in line with, like vacuums per se, but the skills that they learn when we're actually doing that, it transfers into so many other things. And, when we can make it fun on top of it, and get to reap I love instant gratification things. And, fixing something for me is like an instant gratification thing. It's not something that happens months down the road, where you get to see the results pretty instantly of what it is that you're doing. So these are just lots of different ways why it is that I think that your business is perfect for this community. And I'm just excited about sharing in promoting and, whatever we can do to help that grow. And it's fun. It's fun. This is what I enjoy doing. Meeting people.
There you go. One of the things we
doing good in the world. Sorry, go ahead.
As I was going to say, one of the things we learned early on is people don't know how to solder anymore, and they don't know how to do wattage calculations to determine if the motors are going to be strong enough. So we have to do that all for them. We have to make things as plug and play friendly, but still be, a mechanical, electrical experience to learn from. So, we make our kits, they all have instructions and videos, and I don't know that we've ever had somebody that couldn't complete an installation. And the best is when you get a video back from somebody of not only the kids laughing when, they're pulling a wheelie, but the dad or mom, giggling away because they feel so accomplished that they did this. And the relationships that we get to build with the customers has been fabulous. And we've gotten to work with a lot of automotive celebrities over the years, and it's just been a amazing experience that we did not realize could go where it has today.
That it's just so fun, isn't it, to see how everything kind of connects in this big spider web of a life that we live in, from the past to the future to going out in every direction. And everybody likes to have, just a little bit more something, a little bit more oomph, a little bit more thrill, a little bit more excitement in their life. And I think this is a really great way of doing that. And now, how long have you so when did the hobby shop start going out of business? You
Well,
said.
yeah, unfortunately, hobby shops in general are fading away because of that aspect that people just don't work on things like they used to. It was at one time, it was a 45-year run of that store. It was one of the largest in the country.
Mhm.
But my folks were getting older and didn't want to take on new challenges in life, and that's fine. It's to be appreciated. So they declared their retirement shortly before COVID came, and actually the last day of their retirement sale was the day that Governor Murphy shut down New Jersey. So they got lucky; they got out in time. I had already moved out of the store a couple years prior to that, and was, ML Toys had become a full-time project at that point. We have a staff of employees now that sit and assemble product and build product at the shop every day. And then we have electrical and mechanical engineers and some offsite manufacturing. So it's really cool to take a little side hustle that it was and see that it's feeding families and, providing, on the employee end of it, people just have a blast working at the shop. It's a good time. We hire veterans and retired guys that just want to get out of the house and do something, and
Mhm.
they just hang out, have a blast, put stuff together. It's a good time.
But that is great, and it's a great way to put the skill sets of um wiser generations to use.
Well, I like that, wiser generations. Yeah.
I'm trying to categorize this, right? Because the younger generations, and it's funny, I had Tony Robbins had talked about generations one time, and the way that he was explaining it to me, it made sense. And I kind of talk about it like cookies, like batches of cookies coming out of the oven, right? So, there's all these different kinds of cookies. And first there's, chocolate chip cookies, and then there's peanut butter cookies. And, by the time the peanut butter cookies come out of the oven, some of the chocolate chip cookies are gone. And then there's molasses cookies. And then by the time those come out, then most of the chocolate chip ones are gone, and the peanut butter ones are being eaten, and the molasses ones are new. And it's just, and you have all these different kinds of cookies. And then eventually we get back around to making more chocolate chip cookies again. And so he kind of, because I can't remember his exact words, but this is how it is that we. So our generation, we learned to do these types of things, and the generation that came after us learned to do a little bit different stuff, and they started getting more into technology. Now, the younger generations, let's say in their 20s, or even late teens, they're completely focused on technology and AI and that kind of stuff, where we're like, can you do something for me?
Yeah. I keep open to that aspect of the younger generation. My son is 25 and he's a network engineer now because at a young age he learned to solder and learned to wrench on things, and he was able to skip college and became an engineer by the time he was 20. So that's been really cool to see. But we have a high school student that works for us every summer who's a engineering student in a specialty in the local high school, and then we just brought on a college engineering student who actually he reached out to us. He lives across the country, but he's like, "Hey, I invented this great product, and I don't want to compete with you." And I'm thinking, "Oh, I don't want him to compete with me either. That wouldn't be good." So we brought him on board. And his product was great. So we're selling his product now as ours, and working with him to develop new stuff because while we talk about the soldering and the wattage and things like that, the electronics are where it's at. The younger generation doesn't have to solder because they have computers and machines that do it for them. But there is still new grounds to be broken, and you can't deny the technology. So like we have electronic speech controllers now that it's a circuit board. And I need the younger generation to be able to design that kind of thing and make it, work good, make it cost effective. They're kind of where it's at for that. And they're also our future customers. So we're not, it takes, I think, a good combination of the wisdom of the old folks and the ingenuity of the younger folks to really make a well-rounded for any company, to maximize what they can produce.
Yeah, I agree. And I was actually talking with Nancy the other day about that type of thing where, she was a teacher in the public schools and with, all the kids in one grade, kind of, how it is that we grew up knowing. And then, of course, generations prior to us going into public schools, they had like one-room schoolhouses, right? Well, she kind of created a new one-room schoolhouse with K-5, and all of the kids kind of help each other with different things, which is great because I pointed out to her, I said, in the real world, we don't work with people that are of the same age. Can you imagine working with only like 59-year-olds?
Yeah, no, I think that
that would
not
be
work well at all.
so boring. So it's anyway, it is important that we have the different mindsets, because when we each, come into this lifetime, we each bring with us different sets of innate wisdom that that we learn to build on. And it's that's how it is that we're progressing. Otherwise, if we weren't doing this, we would all be working with 59-year-olds or 27-year-olds, and it wouldn't advance our humanity. And all of these different aspects, fun especially, skills, hands-on skills. I'm definitely a hands-on learner, and I'm not so much a reader. I'll write, but the reading part, it's just not, my brain just wants to suck in the whole page at once, and it's just not it's not fun for me.
Yep.
And keeping the hands-on skills.
There's a lot of adapting we have to do to that, different learning styles too now. When we first started the company, we could send out a kit with an instruction sheet, and that was fine. And then we started to have to make videos because people wouldn't read the instructions. So we could have, like a 5-minute how-to video. And then what we've learned is now people won't watch a 5-minute video. So we have to make the video shorter, or take the same video and make it a part 1 video, a part 2, a part 3. I don't know why. It's just how the newer generations are relating better that way. And you can't sit and deny it. You can't, poo-poo it. You just adapt to it so that you can make progress.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm kind of the same way. I'm doing this all the time, and people are like, Terry, slow down, like just do this, try this one thing for a while. I'm like, you can try that one thing for a while. This is where it is that I'm going. Like, and so for instance, even with these videos, I can, for my own marketing business, I can go back and I can make clips of different things, different topics, different things it is that you talk about, different wisdom points that are important to share, that kind of draw people in to say, hey, I want to find out more about this. And then of course we can link it to the full video so they can get to know you more personally in a more well-rounded way, because that's the know, like, trust factor is the basis of, people finding out who you are and what it is that you do. And it doesn't matter if you're just starting out, or if, you have a 4-year-old business that's completely, skyrocketed, and really that's a short amount of time, right?
It is.
Think
Yeah.
about any other 4-year period in your life and the amount of growth it is that happened at that point versus when you decided to jump on a path and see where it is that led, and where it is that it led you now. I mean, when we follow what we enjoy, like they say to do, it really does make a big difference. And I'm watching mine unfold kind of every day, and that's what keeps me excited about it too, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it helps me get out of my reclusiveness.
Yeah. It's when you hit those first hurdles that's the separator, is who stops because they hit a problem they don't know how to solve, or they're afraid to take that next step. For a lot of people, of course, the big one is, when do I turn my side hustle, quit my main job that's supplying income for my family, and and take a chance on myself. And that's a tough one. And it doesn't get easier as you go. The bigger the company gets, the more expensive the hurdles get, and the more families that I put at risk when I want to take, a gamble on a new R&D project or something.
Mhm.
But it's fun once you get that wisdom as you do it, and you build confidence and you play the game smart.
Mhm.
But you realize that fear is just an emotion that warns you to watch out before you take the next step. Don't let the fact that you feel the fear be the reason you don't take the step.
And I come to, fear as a recluse, as a lifelong recluse, outside of my corporate career, pretty much. That's just not a word that has been in my vocabulary. It was actually, there's actually a lot of words once I started entering the coaching industry, that I hadn't heard. And I'm like, what does that mean? And there were people that couldn't even explain it to me. So I don't use the word fear myself still, but I was able to think about it and reframe it into a different way. So I look at it as, I know it as an energy, right? I mean, we can't deny that. It's going inside of us. But if it's not fear, what else is it? What's the opposite? Somebody had told me once, always think about the opposite. Well, when we're talking about a business and we're talking about taking steps and hurdles down the track or whatever, I call them turtle hurdles. I'm an analyst, so I got to take in all the pieces before I even hit the starting blocks. I'm not going anywhere until I have my shoes and I have the right laces and you know, um, but so I reframe it as progress. That energy that we feel inside isn't fear, it's progress. Keep going. That's how that's the direction that you need to do. Now, this, of course, you need to have the right mindset and the right boundaries to make sure that, we don't have the negative mindset coming into those fears, because then we know it's just, the energy telling us to go in that direction, whereas, it could lead us in other places that we might not want to be. So, but it has and you're right. So I had little things. For me, it was, the biggest thing was I had people in corporate who put the Zooms together for me. So all I had to do was show up. So I didn't have any idea how to put your Zoom together, right? Which is silly. And then on top of it, my laptop has, bad mojo on it from my last job there, and things hold energy, and I'm like, I don't even want to touch my laptop. I don't even want to open it, so there's like these, and it seems so little, but these are the big turtle hurdles that I face. Because you had talked about when to retire. I adopted the email self-retired because, and the label and everything, because my inner self retired me from corporate. It had told me I had had enough. And every time it is that I tried to even consider working for somebody else or talking to anybody else about it, my body reacted in ways that it has never done before, because I've always been extremely independent. That's what a recluse is, we're good. But when my body is shaking violently and tears are rolling down my face while I'm talking completely normally to you, and I'm like, why is my body doing this to me right now?
Yeah.
I realized that, that it's called anxiety, for one. I don't know. And then I learned to reframe that as life telling me that that's not the direction. It was shaking me, saying, you're not listening to me. And I'm like, what am I not listening to you? And I just kept hearing, you need to find another way. And I'm like, fine. So if I don't go in that direction, I guess I got to go in this direction. What is the alternative? The alternative is to, instead of working for somebody, to create my own business. And I'm like, how many times in corporate people say, Terry, you should have your own business? I'm like, I don't even know what I want to do. Somebody else said, oh, you'd be great at marketing. I'm like, we don't even have a marketing department. What are you saying? And
Yeah.
here I am, marketing businesses. This
You
is how.
find, yeah, you find your passion
Mhm.
and find, how to find how you can monetize that, for the career end of it. That's just, like what I did in the beginning was I didn't try to invent a product and sell it to people. I listened to what people needed, and fulfilled that need. And that's what you're doing. You're realizing people need a way to connect, businesses together and network better and create, filling a need that you see is out there. And that's always where the best successes come from, and kind of the easiest successes come from
Mhm.
that.
That's exactly what it is that I'm doing. I was talking to somebody else that I know, and I was telling her, I said, well, businesses obviously need marketing better, because if, let's say, we have a local business and they've always done their little flyers that come in the mail that we throw away, that we never even look at, right? And how much money are they spending on that? Which seems like a waste of money to me, because, and there are some people who open them up to see if there's some local service that they can help. And I think that that's great, but I don't know how many actually really read that anymore. And maybe it's just because I'm not a reader. I don't know. There are some things, maybe some booklets that are, like colored, waxy paper, that make it look like it's fun to read, that has a story on the front that's intriguing and makes me open it up. But there's all these other ways of marketing. I mean, in the old days, newspaper was the way to market and advertise your business. And now with this technology, there's all these other things, including podcasts. And what's great about it, the way that I came up with the name, for instance, was I wanted something that was permanent, right? In technology, at least for the time being and for the foreseeable future, is pretty permanent. So there's a good thing. I want a resource that people can go to instead of just Googling, and how do they know that they can trust this person or that company, or, looking up reviews and doing all this stuff. Well, if I can create a community of like-minded, growth-minded business owners who understand how to serve their community in a positive way, then my integrity for my community will extend, and bring in others such as yourself, and it will create an environment that people can go to. And that's what it is that I want to do. I want to have a resource for any aspect of our lives that, and of course, I'm just starting out, so it's small right now, but I have two really good, already posted, and yours will be the third. And it shows the variety of the different things, but it's the core of the people that I'm supporting, and that's, to me, that's my community. As a recluse, that's my community. That's who it is that I want to be around, because my prior outside world when I was younger was not something that I wanted to be around. So I'm creating who it is that I want to be around and who it is that I want to support. So And, you know, again, we'll just see how it goes. I'm having fun. I think that it's going to, that I'm going to continue to learn more about marketing and, you know, sharing and all of the different social media nuances. You know, you got to do this on that platform and you got to do this on that platform. And I don't do a lot of that stuff, but, you know, I am on there, and, you know, so some exposure is good because, you know, it takes what, like 7 times for somebody to see a name before they actually decide to look into it. They're going to say, why do I keep seeing this product come up in my face? And the algorithms really help. Algorithms are awesome. You know, that we go back to that technology, right? You know, even speaking the words, it everything, there's no privacy anymore, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, it is in some respects, obviously, and it's, I think us older generations, I'm including myself in this because, you know, being a recluse, I kind of like my privacy. It's not that I have anything to hide. It's just, you know, it's something that it's, you know, an energy that I'm stepping into. There we go.
There you go.
It's an energy that I'm stepping into. It's progress, right? So it's been fun.
Good.
So
Yeah.
what do you see for your future for the business?
For the business, we're still creating a lot more. This actually is going to be a really big year for us. We came up with some new products last year, but the last half of last year, I invested in a marketing company that comes from NASCAR.
Mhm.
And I learned a lot about marketing because I used to think of marketing and advertising as the same word. And after we spent a few months going over, you know, what we're doing now, they actually said, you know, the first thing we need to do to market your company is to create a new website. I was like, what? That's not advertising. I'm like, no, no, you have a large number of people coming to your site already.
Mhm.
We need to capitalize on who you have coming, and that's by making the user experience a better one. You know, for all the first time modifiers, help them to be able to find the products they need for their cars. And so, massive revamp should launch in the next week or two. Um, and as a result of that and the advertising end of it that they're going to be bringing to us, there's a lot of expansion going on. We have to expand now in anticipation of what it's going to bring. We can't wait till we're, you know, knee deep in back orders on products. We want to be on top of it and be able to fill them daily. So we added on a couple more employees. We expanded the facility a bit, and we're really just excited and holding on now because you know, in the next month, we get into the spring season. The country warms up. Kids will be outside playing again, and we're really ramping up production to be ready to meet that this year.
So I want to get this straight. You have done everything it is that you've done. You've grown your business to the size that it is. You've enveloped another inventor so that you guys could, you know, collaborate more closely and grow together. And you've done all this without a website.
No, no, we have the website, ML
Oh,
Toys.
okay.
Yeah, no, no, the website, that's how we generate our sales. We don't have a storefront. I mean, we do, but it's really not designed for walk-in as much.
Mhm.
Um, but no, we needed a newer website. You know, we did a new look every
Mhm.
year or two on the website, but really hadn't done a major rebrand and reinvention of it. And it was just missing up not just opportunities for us, but missing opportunities to help people find what they're looking for as well.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Oh,
it's just another evolution. I don't know how big this is going to go. We have dream visions of actually just making our own cars at some point because we now make all the components to make a car. So we could make our own car. It's do we want to throw down and get into that? You know, that's a huge hurdle, and we're just debating if we need to do that to be able to bring the products that people need. There are already cars out there, so.
yeah. Well, and you know, what they say too is that sell it before you create it. So if you already have the majority of the parts, you could create a kit and a design image and sell the kit. And then once orders start coming in, then you can, you know, of course, make sure that you have access to the parts or whatever to actually fulfill that kit. And then, you know, as those kits sell more, then of course the price will come down. But at least if that's something, you know, if that's something that people want, and then you can decide if, you know, having them pre-made to buy is the next step. But, you know, maybe starting with the kit, since you already sell parts, would be an option.
The challenge with starting with the kit is the licensing. You can't just make a generic car. People want to buy a Ford Mustang, you know, or a Bronco or something. So you have to work with licensing with the companies to do that. And we have a whole path. We have relationships in place. I learned early on that it's all about who, you know, and not how to do it. I'm not an engineer by trade. I have a pretty inventive mind, but when I come up with an invention, I usually need different types of engineers, or, you know, if I were to do this, I would need the marketing company from an automotive division to work with. So I get these relationships going so that we can bring it to bear. There's so much behind the scenes before you can bring that initial kit to market.
And so having a done for you product is an easier route.
Building just the components to add to a vehicle versus building a complete vehicle is way easier.
Okay.
Again, just because it takes that licensing out, you're allowed to modify, you know, an existing car, but when you start creating a car, then you're competing with other people that want to squash you,
Mhm.
and again, you know, you're getting other licensing fees and other people involved in giving up a little control.
Yeah, I can see the competition when you get to be a certain size becoming, you know, because you're getting to that next energetic level, and then you have to decide, do I even want to try to cross that barrier, or do I want to keep my business, you know, at the top of here? And you know, but anyway, 4 years though, you've done a lot, and then
Yeah.
you've made some great
Well,
connections.
it was 4 years to get, you know, launched independent. We're 15 years into this now. Uh,
Oh, okay,
Yeah, four years was to go from a side hustle to a full-time gig.
right.
Yeah, so
But
still growing.
yeah, that's still fast though, in my opinion. I think that's awesome. Well, I really, really appreciate you coming back on here again and sharing more about the business, because, you know, again, these are the, you know, you're exactly the type of people that I like promoting and letting people know about. And so if you could tell us your website, where it is that they can find you, because it is going to be on Spotify and they might not be able to read, you know, what's going across the bottom of the screen. And of course I'll include your link as well. But
Sure. Yeah, the website is ML Toys, M as in Mary, L as in Lisa, toys.com. And you can find me there. You can reach out through the contact us. You'll either get me or somebody in tech support. And you know, we'll always help you. We have a blast doing it.
that's awesome. Well, I'm really glad to have crossed paths with you and that we were able to do this, because you know, it excites me. I love seeing people succeeding in their dreams. And it's important to follow those, and I encourage everybody to do that. So thanks again. I appreciate you, and we'll definitely be in touch, and we'll see where you're at in maybe another 12 months or so.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.